A friend and I were talking in a cafe in Dharamsala, India recently. He had had a near-death experience while on the operating table for a heart and kidney transplant. I could see that the lady sitting nearby was catching bits of the conversation and seemed keenly interested in what we were saying. It turned out that she was very familiar with the experience and agreed to talk about it here. I apologize for the construction noise in the background.
My name's Coralie and I'd like to share a story about something that happened to my son Joel. When my son Joel was only 3.5 years old, he was very, very ill and had a near-death experience, and I'd like to share about that story. So when Joel was ill, he was in intensive care for a long time, and once he was able to communicate again, he told me about what happened when he died. And given that he's only 3.5, Joel's now 27, but when he was 3.5, he told me how he went to this beautiful, beautiful place, and he knew all the people there. He talked about this beautiful light that was, and when he talked about it with just such bliss. You could see that he felt so warm and loved in this experience that he had had. And he said he went there and he saw Jesus. Now, none of us talked about Jesus. He also said that he knew all the people that were there, and he was told that he had to come back. And he was really, really sad about that. He said that he was told that he was sad that Mummy and Daddy weren't there, and he was sad that he had to come back. And for years afterwards, he would say to me, "I want to go home." And I'd say to him, "You are home," but I knew that that wasn't what he meant. He also would talk to people at night, given that he's, again, a small child. I'm a registered nurse, and I'd had conversations with people who had similar experiences, but given that Joel was a child, he had nothing to base this on. I hadn't talked to him about it. He hadn't seen anything on TV. It was just his own personal experience. And so he used to talk to these people at night, and they weren't English names. I wish I'd written them down, but I didn't. And he'd talk to them, and sometimes he'd focus on someone behind me to the point where I'd turn around and see who was there, and he would just smile. And so basically through his life, he's now 27 years old, he's been left with a significant disability. He had a brain injury, and so it's left him requiring 24-hour care. And across those years, particularly because of the experience that he was able to share with me, it's profoundly changed my life, because it's made me, I guess he's challenged me to look at what's really important and other aspects of life other than what we see, particularly in Western societies. Since that time, I've started to travel to India, which is where I've met all these wonderful people, and to really start to learn about particularly Buddhist philosophy, and how we're so distracted in the West by stuff, by shiny things, shiny cars and jewellery and all of those things that I personally now believe just are really distractions from who we really are in here. And I guess that even now with Joel, he sees people from their heart. He doesn't care whether they're black or whether they're, what colour their skin is or what their religion is. He doesn't care about any of that. He cares that they're a good person in here. He sees that, and I've learnt a lot from that, to not be judgmental. And so he's been my greatest teacher. He really has. He's taught me so much. And the other learning that I've had, of course, has been in India, learning about different life philosophies, different spiritual philosophies. I avoid the use of the word religion, because I think that they're human constructs, not spiritual constructs. And so I've learned an enormous amount. Joel still continues to be my very, very good teacher. And then something that's happened more recently, like I said, he requires 24-hour care. A year ago, he would have between 1 and 3 seizures every day. He would choke on his food, and I truly believe that that's how he would have died. He was only able to walk if we held him up. His concentration was poor, his speech was poor, his memory was poor. And then I became aware of a treatment that's available in the US. I've studied a lot of science in between, trying to understand why Joel was the way that he was and why sometimes he could do things and sometimes he couldn't, which to me wasn't consistent with a brain injury as a registered nurse. And so I found out about this treatment that's offered in the US called perispinal etanercept. And once I'd studied the science behind it, was so convinced that this would help him that I took him to Los Angeles. He had this treatment. Since that time he's now able to walk unassisted for about 30 metres. His memory's improved, his concentration's improved, his speech has improved, his swallowing's improved, and he's happy. He still requires a high level of care, but he's a happy, happy man. I personally believe that what has happened to him and my role in that is kind of why we're here. I really do. I really believe that all of the skills that I've learned across caring for Joel and all the studies that I've done have put me in a position now to be able to help get this treatment available. And so we've set up a charity. There's going to be a clinical trial conducted in Australia, Griffith University School of Medicine. That's about to start. World first clinical trial, and that's going to help to make this treatment available to other people who've had a stroke and brain injury in other places in the world, as well as Australia. So it's been a very difficult journey. It's been challenging beyond anything that I could possibly imagine, but it's been an amazing journey as well. It truly has. It's just taught me so much about me, so much about how strong humans are, and really what we're doing here. I guess the reality, the absolute reality. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
You're